All right, so this is the next quiz. So with a fake Gauss-Jordan, what you do is your pivot is right here and it's permanent. So you just go ahead and rewrite the whole row. You can change it on scratch paper, but not here. All right, and then you look at these two and you're like, huh, 2 times 1 is 2. So if I use 2 and a -2, I get 0. So the first row is already 2, so leave it. Second row is not a -2, so multiply by -2, -2, -2. Write that over here. When you add, you get a new row 2 because your permanent row is permanent. So this new row is your second row, okay? Then your pivot always goes here next. So you start here first, here second. So here's my pivot, -1. So you look above it, 3 and -1, and you're like, huh, 3 times a -1 is -3 or 3. So I need 3 and a -3 to get 0. Row 1 is already a 3. Leave it. Sometimes you have to change it, but this time you don't. But this guy needs to be a -3. So times 3 times 3 times 3. Write it here. Again, your permanent row is permanent. So see how I rewrote it? This permanent row can't go anywhere. I can do it on scratch paper. Like it's legal to multiply it by 3 on scratch paper, but not here. Not for real. Add, you get this. That's your new row 2. Then once you get these guys, then what you do is divide to get 1. So divide by 2, 2 and 2, divide by -1, -1, -1. Or you could multiply by a -1 on that. And you get x, this is your x, 1x is a -1, this is x equals, and then no x is there, but then y equals this. So then you get your answers. All right, graphing. Solving for y is not super helpful on these because your y-intercept and slope are ugly. So instead, I like to sub in intercept. So sub in 0 for x. See how if you divide by 2, you get 1.5. Sub in 0 for y. See how you get x equals 3. Now, there's infinite many answers. So if you're like, I have a hard time finding them, well, you know, there's infinite many of them. So like -1. So notice if I sub in a -1 for x, I'd bring it to the other side. It'd be 2y equals 4. See how I get 2. All right, so you can just try numbers and, you know, see if they work. If they're ugly, like if you sub in 2 and you're like, oh, I get a fraction, then don't do it. Although that fraction's not bad. Subtract 2 from both sides, you get 1. That's 0.5. That's not bad. So I'm going to graph this guy. So I go 0, 1.5, 3 here, -1, 2, put a dot, and draw the line. Okay, this guy, I saw for y, but see how ugly that is? So instead, I sub in intercepts. If x is 0, I get 4/3. Again, this is kind of what I would say is ugly. It's hard to graph. Sub in 0 for this one, that's nice. What's 4 divided by 2? 2. Or, oh my gosh, 4 divided by 2 is 2, but the 2's there. All right, what else can I do? So I just tried 5 for x, so that gave me 10. And then I'm like, oh, 10 and a -6 would be that. Oh, I need a -2 there. I also tried a -1. Okay, if x is a -1, I get -2. Okay, I'm going to pause here for a second. Sorry about that. When I'm making this video, it's the Olympics, and so Simone Biles was going to do her floor exercise, so I had to pause to go watch it, and I saw the U.S. get the gold medal, which was cool in gymnastics, so especially after COVID year. All right, let me go back to where I was. All right, so say I sub in a -1, I get -2, and then I notice when I add that to both sides, I get 6. And oh, that's nice. You know what I mean? So if you pick ugly numbers, just throw them away and try another one, right? All right, so I have 4 nice points here. I'm probably not going to pick him. All right, 2 on the x, put a dot 2 on the x, 5, -2, so go over 5, down 2, -1, 2, connect the dots. And where they cross is right there. So the answer is -1, 2, which again is the same answer somewhere. I don't know where I wrote it, but anyway, oh, over here. Same answer we got up there, okay? All right, and we can graph this on Desmos to check it, but make sure you can graph by hand. There are infinite many numbers that work for this, okay? Now, not all of them are nice, but there's infinite many. So if you try 1 and it doesn't work, and you try 2 and 3 and 4, one of those is going to be pretty, and you just need 2 pretty ones. That's all you need. All right. partial fraction decomp. Okay. Now, I picked, actually, the numbers I gave you doesn't even make you do matrices. So if you picked ugly numbers, actually, that's better for this example, but oh well. So again, cancel your fractions. This guy needs him. This guy gets canceled, and the other factors there. So I just wrote it in a long line. Okay. I subbed in a -1. Now, some of you messed up. A negative times negative is a positive, so that's going to be 5. And actually, I end up getting 2 for A. So then I sub in 0. So 0, 0, you get a 3. So 0, 0, you get a 2A. But you actually know A is 2. So you get 4 there, right? And then you get a 0 and a 0. So you just get C. So actually C equals -1. So you don't really need matrices. Sub in 1, you know A, you know C, and you can get that B is 3. So then you just rewrite it right there, okay? Yeah, I was trying to tie it to matrices. I did not do a good job because I gave you numbers that actually worked out nice. So that's my fault, but hopefully you know how to do matrices on the computer. If not, you have to for this example. I think all of you did this one, so I didn't even do that one. So 10 hot dogs and 5 soft drinks is there, Make your matrices, and then on the computer, you just type in reduced row echelon form of whatever A, probably. It spits out this, and then make sure you label them. Like a hot dog is $1.50 a drink, which I think there's probably absolutely no way to buy anything for that anymore. But hey, in the old days, maybe we could pre all this inflation. So anyway, hopefully that helps with this quiz. If you need more details on anything, let me know. There won't be partial fractions on this test, but I want you to see an application of when matrices are handy, and it's when these things are ugly. So, but obviously I did not make it ugly enough because you got pretty answers. So anyway, oh well, have a good one, and I will end here.